With the Kentucky Derby just 3 weeks away, who has their eye on the run for the roses? A year ago, Funnyside was overlooked until he found the winner's circle at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May. This year, a crowded field of hopefuls build their case to be the pre-Derby favorite. Today, the Bluegrass Stakes, the Arkansas Derby, and the Wood Memorial will give three top colts an opportunity to make their case on the NTRA's road to the Kentucky Derby. Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, the heart of Kentucky thoroughbred country. A big sun-drenched crowd on hand here today. Keeneland and all of the state decked out in all its spring beauty. And today is Bluegrass Day, the 80th running of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes, a key Kentucky Derby prep race. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Keeneland. I'm Tom Hammond as we try to bring some focus to one of the most confusing Kentucky Derby pictures in recent years. Seemingly, each round of Derby prep races has produced a bigger upset. But hopefully today, now 3 weeks away from the Run for the Roses, we can get a better line on the Derby prospects with three important Derby prep races coming your way today. Here at Keeneland, the $750,000 Bluegrass Stakes be run at 1 1/8 miles, and with the scratching of Birdstone, a field of 8 will go to the post with the morning line favorite at 5-2 Lionheart. We'll also bring you coverage of the $1 million Arkansas Derby at 1 1/8 miles from Hot Springs, Arkansas, Oaklawn Park. And there, the morning line favorite is the unbeaten Smarty Jones, opening in the betting at 7-5, but having to start from the very tough outside 11 post position. And live back here at Keeneland, joined by Charles C. Canty. And Charles C., one of the underlying themes of our races today is the amount of money these horses must earn.
Well, you know, Tom, the Derby contenders always need these races physically on the road to the Kentucky Derby, but this year they really need them financially because the Derby picture is wide open. The Derby is totally overbooked, and only 20 may start, so they will decide those 20 on the basis of their graded stakes earnings. So everyone wants to win the Bluegrass and the Wood, etc. today, but it's also important where they place because they need that money.
Well, for some of them, it's very critical. As a matter of fact, we mentioned Smarty Jones in the Arkansas Derby does not have a single dollar in graded stakes earnings, so he must finish at least 1, 2, 3 today to have a chance to get into the Kentucky Derby field itself. As we said, we will be bringing you live coverage of the Arkansas Derby. It's the final of our 3-race card today, and Kenny Rice will be our man in Hot Springs. And Kenny, first of all, a weather report from you.
Tom, we have had a lot of rain here overnight. We had thunderstorms last night, thunderstorms this morning. It has been raining throughout the day, and for the first time in a long time, and only the 5th time in 44 years, we have a sloppy track for this year's Arkansas Derby. It is the 68th running. This is a centennial of Oaklawn Park, and in celebration of that, they have doubled the Arkansas Derby purse to $1 million. And in this season where anything can and has happened on the road to the Kentucky Derby, where one is considered a good winning streak, even a horse that's perfect, 5 for 5, like Smarty Jones is here, has something to prove today in the Arkansas Derby. For this will be his first time at 1 1/8 miles, his first time over a wet track. He is starting from the far outside 11 post, and he needs some graded stakes earnings if he wants to continue on to Kentucky. At least a first or second, a possibility of a third here today could continue him on the road to Louisville in 3 weeks. But Tom, we also have 10 other challengers here today in Arkansas to see if they can keep up with the Jones.
All right, Kenny, we'll be checking with you a little later. The Arkansas Derby, the final race on our program today. We'll also be bringing you coverage of the Wood Memorial run just a few moments ago at Aqueduct in New York. Our man there is Bob Newmeyer. And Bob and Mike Battaglia, who's here at Keeneland with us, are our resident NBC handicappers. And guys, the Derby is tough enough to handicap anyway. This year, it seems impossible. I don't envy you, Bob. I may have to cut you guys a little slack this year.
Well, I'll tell you the way I look at this thing this year, Tom, you might as well stick your hand in like a bucket of paint and throw it against the canvas. Some might call it art, others might say it's a mess, but that's what we're looking at this year. To follow up what Charles and Kenny were talking about, the big issue today is graded stakes earnings, and coming into this Wood Memorial, We had Sinister and G and Value Plus that had enough in their bank account to qualify for one of those top 20 spots in the Derby. But talented horses like Eddington and Master David needed to run well, tap it to qualify for the run for the Roses. So Mike Battaglia, the graded stakes earnings was the key issue here at the Wood Memorial at Aqueduct.
Well, it really was, and you guys have been talking about horses that you don't know if they're going to get in or not, you know, who's got the earnings to get in. If you look at the horses with the earnings to get in, it doesn't get any clearer because we've had nothing but upsets. Look at some of these prices. The Louisiana Derby goes to Wimbledon, pays $16.40. That's almost a favorite compared to some of these other horses. Friends Lake wins the Florida Derby. He pays $76.80. Castledale, the Santa Anita Derby, one of the top preps for the Kentucky Derby, $62. And just a couple weeks ago at Turfway, the Lanes End Stakes goes to Sinister G, pays $32.80. So here's horses with plenty of earnings to get in, but that doesn't clear the picture up at all. You know, some people might say that that's a very muddled Derby picture, and it is, Tom, but I'll tell you what, I think it's going to make for an excellent betting race.
Well, if you could pick a winner, that's the only problem. And Mike, of course, has double duty. Not only does he handicap the race for NBC, he makes the morning line for the Kentucky Derby. And before we're finished today, we're going to put him on the spot and have him select who he will make the Derby favorite. That's all still to come. We're live from Keeneland on Bluegrass Day, and we'll look at the Wood Memorial coming up.
Enjoy your new Durango.
Look, it's got a DVD. And see how smooth the ride is for you and Fluffy?
Liz, what are you doing to him?
I'm just showing little Joey the new Durango.
Sam, there's only one thing you need to know. Hemi. Can you say Hemi?
Hemi.
That's my boy.
The all-new Dodge Durango. Big size, smooth ride, Hemi power. With 5-star, the highest frontal crash test rating.
What are you holding now?
A six-pack.
A six-pack? Brilliant! What'd you do?
Well, I figured out how to carry 6 beers at the same time.
Carry 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant! Let's drink them.
You know, I've been thinking, it might not be the smartest idea to drink 6 beers at the same time.
Don't drink 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant!
Brilliant!
Drink in a straff straight from the bottle, and always enjoy it responsibly.
Brilliant!
Okay, ready? Catch a fry. Good job. Try another fry.
That's 2 for 2.
Now try a shrimp. I meant a giant shrimp!
New giant shrimp from Long John Silver's. Our biggest shrimp ever. Nearly half a foot long, dipped in our crispy, crunchy batter. Try a giant shrimp combo with fish for $4.49. It's our biggest news ever. Long John Silver's giant shrimp. Surf's up. Dive in at Long John Silver's.
Hey, 冇理由㗎咯，害死我哋！馬上坐啊！唔應該咁做，真係冇理由啊！真係冇理由啊！真係冇理由嘅！快啲啊！快啲啊！先 check 我。喂，點解應承我哋限得包個星期3到啊？你係咪傻㗎？
有下你見我。
好順勢我啦嘛，聽日星期3到，我哋點辦啊
FedEx。
FedEx. 好啦，好。FedEx Express. All you need to know when shipping to Asia.
Road to the Kentucky Derby is brought to you by NetJets. Leave nothing to chance. By FedEx. You can always rely on the ultimate in reliable shipping. Relax. It's FedEx. By Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. And by Long John Silver's. New giant shrimp, our biggest shrimp ever, is here. We're live at Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington, Kentucky, and we'll be taking you from the pastoral beauty of this racecourse to the Big A, Aqueduct Racetrack in New York, a close neighbor to John F. Kennedy International Airport. Standing by there is Bob Newmeyer, and Bob, the Wood Memorial has produced 3 of the last 4 Kentucky Derby winners, so all eyes on the Big A for the big race today.
Yeah, that's right, Tom, and we never know who will emerge. I mean, who had ever heard of Funny Side 1 year ago this year, and yet he ran a nice placing to Empire Maker in last year's race and went on to win the Derby and the Preakness. And this year is really no exception. These horses looking to take a step forward to guarantee themselves a slot in that starting gate, but many of them had the pressure on today, a put up or shut up situation. Make some money or else you'll be watching the Derby from their stall. As they went to the post, we had 11 of them going 1 1/8 here at Aqueduct, and the favorite was Value Plus, number 6. from the barn of the red-hot Todd Pletcher, John Velasquez. Eddington, the number 8, received lots of support with Jerry Bailey and Mark Hennig. Sinister G, a local favorite. He was the winner of the Lane's End from flagpole to finish. And a couple of long shots, Horn Shope and Cuba. But the favorite was Value Plus going into this race, and he had run a nice second in the Florida Derby. Again, this is a big, good-looking gray son of Unbridled Song who won this race not too long ago. Again, the white-hot trainer, Todd Pletcher, his favorite jockey, John Velasquez. Eddington, 2 nice wins at Gulfstream. Beautifully bred son of Unbridled. Ran a troubled third in the Gotham Stakes here not too long ago. But Jerry Bailey had the mount. He needed to do some damage today to make it to Louisville. Then there's Master David. He hasn't run in 2 months, an illness, but if anybody can get a horse ready off the bench, it's the brilliant Bobby Frankel. He too needs to run well to make it to Louisville in this race. And finally, Tappet. Tappet, one of the 2 graded stakes winners in this field. Trainer Michael Dickinson told me before this race if he ran 1, 2, or 3, he'd be over the moon. English translation, he'd be delighted to finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. It was a thriller. The call of the Wood Memorial. The voice of New York racing, Tom Durkin.
Some orders there from his starter's position. And they're off. Sinister G is breaking well. Consecrate has some early speed. Value Plus, Master David comes on through in between horses and swing for the fences. And they hit the first turn. Value Plus and Sinister G will vie for the early lead. Master David in the early mix. Deftly move over to the inside 3rd. Cuba 4th. And Eddington right up on the pace today. 2.5 lengths from the lead and in the clear on the outside. Swing for the fences is running in 6th. Royal Assault is 7th, and Consecrate is 8th on the outside. Little Math Man is 10 lengths from the lead and down toward the inside, followed by Horns Hope, and Tappet is the last of 11. The opening quarter, 23 3/5 seconds. Sinister G pokes ahead in front of Value Plus, and emboldened by that challenge, Value Plus counters right back. Sinister G and Value Plus stride for stride through a half in a solid 47 seconds flat. Then on the outside, Jerry Bailey has Eddington moving sweetly in 3rd position. Down toward the inside, it's Master David. Cubit between those 2. Then farther back, it's Swing for the Fences who's beginning to pick it up. And Tappet is full of run. Tappet is running very strongly, about 6 lengths from the lead, and really hasn't been asked for a run yet, and there's 3 furlongs to go. Farther back, it's Royal Assault, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. Eddington is 4 wide. Cuba fights on in between horses. Value Plus down toward the inside. Swing for the Fences, swings to the outside. Master David in behind a wall of horses at the fence, and he's 5th. And Tappet takes to the outside, and they charge into the final furlong of the Wood Memorial. Swing for the fences. Master David comes up the inside. Tappet heavy drive on the far outside. Eddington doing his best. 4 of them down to the finish now. Master David comes on through. Tappet, Eddington fights on. It's going to be a blanket finish. Here's the wire, and Tappet takes it. Tappet with a compelling performance
the
here.
Matt Genius with us. Back to you, Michael Dickinson. Remember, he saddled DeHaas in the Breeders' Cup Mile off one race off extended layoffs, and he's one of the best in the business. And this horse had been ill in Florida, had him ready today, and Tappet from off the pace is the winner of the Wood Memorial, which guarantees him a spot in the starting gate at Louisville. Wow, what a story. Michael Dickinson. And Tappet, as the 5-to-1 favorite, paid $12 in change here at Aqueduct. Let's take a look at this thriller. There is Eddington. Jerry Bailey in the gold cap looked like the winner. His Master David up the rail with Alex Solis in the white cap. He had his chance as well. Swing from the fences, 3 from the rail, and here is the eventual winner, Tappet, roaring up the outside with Ramon Dominguez. Well, if the mad genius Michael Dickinson said finishing 1, 2, and 3 would put him over the moon, he must be flying high right now, because Tappet wins it. He had been ill in Florida. Dickinson did not expect that much today, but gets the win in a huge photo for second that could be very significant. Master David by a nose over Eddington. That should put Master David with enough money to make it to Louisville, but Eddington, by missing that place photograph, might not have enough graded earnings to make it for the Run for the Roses. That's the story here from the Big Apple at Aqueduct. In the Wood Memorial, I'm Bob Newmeyer. Back to Tom Hammond.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. We're here at Keeneland, where the Bluegrass Stakes will be coming up live in a little while. But, Charlesy, let's talk about the Wood Memorial. They don't call him the mad genius for nothing. Michael Dickinson strikes again. He trains this horse on his farm down in Maryland, not even at the track, but on his farm. Was, I think, 6th in the Florida Derby, but had some lung problems, and he's just done a marvelous job bringing him back for a huge race today.
He did indeed. Michael Dickinson was very forthright about saying the Florida Derby would not be his best. He wasn't ready. It wasn't really where he wanted to run him, and actually he didn't run that bad. He was only beaten about 5 lengths. But you look back at this Colts race in the Laurel Futurity last year, and only his 2nd lifetime start, he won that race like anybody's horse, and everyone wrote him off when he didn't run too well in the Florida Derby. But let me tell you something, he's back and in a big way. That was a most professional performance today.
He came from last down the backside and was really mowing him down there at the end.
And circled the field and won quite easily. His ears were pricked at the wire, but you've also got to watch closely. Master David, that was a really big race. Bobby Frankel is going to sneak in the door with this one. That was a good effort. He'd been away from the races for a while, and a heartbreaker for Eddington. He misses this far. He probably won't get in the Kentucky Derby.
Bobby Frankel, who won with Empire Maker at the Wood last year, hoping to win his first Kentucky Derby. Master David got through on the rail, but could only manage 2nd behind the closing Tappet in the Wood Memorial today. Well, you know, top jockeys ride in dozens of big races each year, but there's one race they want to win above all others, and today we'll bring you the Kentucky Derby memories of some outstanding riders. 10 years ago, Chris McCarron won his 2nd Kentucky Derby aboard the Nick Zito-trained Go for Gin. It was a rainy day, the track was sloppy, but as Chris remembers, the infield Jumbotron worked just fine.
The second time around, it's every bit as sweet, it's every bit as good. In 1994 with Go for Gin, and he absolutely loved the track. I was on a horse that had speed, natural speed, and liked to lay up close, but Holy Bull was supposed to be the speed of the race. When I turned down the backside that day, there was a television screen situated on the far turn, turned in such a way that I could watch it the whole length of the backside. So I'm riding along, and I'm looking up at this screen, and I could see the whole field behind me, and I'm looking for Holy Bull. I'm thinking, where is he? Where is he? Oh, there he is. He was like 8th at the time. When he was nowhere to be found, I just rode from that point on very, very confidently.
It's Go for Gin, digging in and holding on. He is going to win the Kentucky Derby.
Win $5 million on the Kentucky Derby without placing a bet. Step 1, visit KentuckyDerby.com. 2, pick the exact order of the Derby finish. 3, win $5 million. 4, go bananas. The Kentucky Derby $5 million payday. Pick the exact finish, win $5 million. Register now at KentuckyDerby.com.
Hi, team.
Problem.
Try rebooting.
Already did. Meeting in minutes.
Run utilities.
Not good.
Alt FX.
It's getting worse. Something's happening.
Hit escape.
There is no escape.
Problem solved.
What?
Replaced.
How'd you do that?
Coast to coast walkie-talkies get it done. Nextel.
fueling the greatest of American sports.
From the moment they step onto the track, break from the gate, and make history, Equibase is there as the official source for free entries, up-to-the-minute results, and racing information. Equibase is the one-stop shop for all the information you need. Whether at the track or at home, Equibase is making the grade in the thoroughbred industry. Fast, accurate, dependable. Equibase.com, your official source for racing information.
Where will the next generation of skiers and snowboarders come from? They're right here. The Next Snow Search, Sunday, 1 Eastern, NBC.
Don't miss the premier event in snowboarding, the Phillips U.S. Open Snowboarding Championships, brought to you by Burton. Sunday, 1:30 Eastern, NBC.
Tomorrow at 3 Eastern, 12 noon Pacific, the AFL on NBC continues. Most of you will see two of the league's most dangerous offensive weapons go head-to-head. Raymond Filyaw leads the Chicago Rush. He's their quarterback. And they'll be playing the defending AFL champion Tampa Bay Storm tomorrow. That is, if John Gonzalez, our director, and I can catch a plane as soon as we're through here at Keeneland. Others will see Georgia against Austin. So either Chicago, Tampa Bay, or Georgia, Austin, the AFL on NBC. Check your local listings for the game in your area tomorrow at 3 Eastern. Well, Charles, as post-time approaches for the Bluegrass Stakes here at Keeneland, it seems to me that this race has come up maybe the toughest of all the Derby preps.
Well, it is indeed. Today, we've got all these races going all over the country, but there are only 2 Grade 1 winners performing, and they're both right here at Keeneland. That's Action This Day and Lionheart, but both of them won their Grade 1s last year, so they need to get their act organized and get this race won today so they can go to Churchill.
And we thought, Charles, we might be having to dodge raindrops today. Rain was forecast for today, but if you look at those skies, a lot of sun right now and no rain at all. The track is fast. Donner Brothers later on will be on horseback out on the track. She's out there in her boots right now in her own hooves. But Donna, when I ask you about the track, you know that Keeneland the last few years has had a speed bias. The track seems to favor the front runners. What have the jockeys told you about now?
Well, Tom, you're absolutely right about that. It's notorious for having a speed bias, but I talked to Shane Sellers earlier on the card, and he said that Keeneland has been playing fair not only all day today, but all meet long, so I sure wouldn't look for a speed bias today. You know, I think that's a pretty good job to have a weather forecaster. This right here is 55 degrees in rain, according to the weather forecast, but it's 65 degrees in sunshine today, and I talked to the track superintendent, Mike Young, and he said it doesn't look like Keeneland is going to see a drop of rain in the forecast before the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes goes off, Tom.
All right, that's good news. Donna, are you saying that the weathermen are right about as often as our handicappers?
I'm not going to go there. Mike Battaglia is a good friend of mine.
Well, we said this is the toughest of all the Derby prep races, and Charles Lee, let's take a look at some of the favorites in today's Bluegrass Stakes. Starting with the morning line favorite, Lionheart. Patrick Biancone walking him to the track earlier this week here at Keeneland.
And he was undefeated in 3 starts last year, too. He settled right into that front-running, controlling speed style of his. On only his 2nd start last year, the Hollywood Preview. He set fierce early fractions. This was going 7/8 of a mile. He went wire to wire. But he showed his versatility in his very next start. Again at Hollywood Park, he ran in the Hollywood Futurity, which was at 1 1/16 to close out his 3-start campaign last year. This was 1 1/16. He was a little more relaxed, but he still dominated wire to wire. Biancone gave him a winter vacation. He came right back to the races in early March in the San Rafael at a flat mile, and he dominated the speed early and looked like a clear winner, but he just got a little bit tired, got caught in the late going there by Imperialism, a colt who's going to have a say at Churchill Downs. The question is, can he carry his speed 1 1/8 around 2 turns here at Keeneland against late closers like this colt, Action This Day, who was last year's 2-year-old champion? He's been training well here at Keeneland, and he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile last year on the way to his 2-year-old championship by coming, Tom, from last to first. And he ran the best race of his life at the right time. The question is, has he made the transition from 2 to 3? That's what we need to find out. He too got a winter vacation, finished 4th in his seasonal debut out in California. And then his trainer Dick Mandella ran him in the San Felipe, thinking he had a nice fit horse ready to roll, and things went wrong. There he is in gate number 3. You'll see Action This Day breaking from there. Watch the horse on the rail, whose name is Latitude. Lose jockey Mike Smith. There goes Action This Day in the orange silks over to the rail. Latitude runs up behind him and actually strikes one of Action This Day's hind legs and gives him a laceration that required several stitches to close. Of course, Action This Day, Tom, didn't run his best race. David Flores knew it and sort of took care of him. But look on the lead. See that gray horse? That's preaching at the bar. He is a very strong contender here at Keeneland this afternoon in the Bluegrass. Bob Baffert has brought him here, part of a strong California contingent.
Well, you know, Nick Zito, as the year began, seemed to have a very strong hand. Euro Silver winning the Breeders' Futurity here at Keeneland, but now he's out of the Derby picture, been sidelined. He had the Champagne winner, Birdstone. Birdstone After a disappointing race in the lane's end at Turfway, was scheduled to run here at Keeneland today in the Bluegrass, but was scratched with an elevated white cell count, although Zito says he's still going to point him for the Derby. That leaves him with the Cliff's Edge.
And the Cliff's Edge has a very important thing going for him. Besides the fact he looks like he wants the distance and has that good last to first closing style, he won the Kentucky Jockey Club Stakes at Churchill last year, and that's always a nice thing to have, a winning race at Churchill.
Well, Nick Zito right now is in the paddock with Mike Battaglia. Mike?
Thanks, Tom. And Nick had to take off, Tom. He just took off. He said he had to go saddle his horse. He stood here, couldn't do it, but I was talking to him prior to the race. He said that the Cliff's Edge is coming into this race just in exceptional form. He really likes the way he runs. He loves Churchill Downs, so that's a big plus. Talked about Birdstone. He said he had the elevated white count, so I had to scratch him from this race. He might be able to run him back into Lexington. He thinks that he's still on the Derby trail, but that's very iffy. And you already mentioned Euro Silver. He had such a hot hand, it looked like, going into the 3-year-old picture. But as of now, Tom, it seems to come down to his one horse today, and that's the Cliff's Edge. I don't think that he has to win this race. I don't think Nick believes he has to win this race to go on to the Kentucky Derby, but I do think he has to close well. I think that he has to be in the hunt, and if he does that, I think Zito will have him on track for a good effort 3 weeks from today. So, Tom, this is probably the last hurrah for Nick, the Cliff's Edge.
Well, timing is everything, Mike. We just missed Nick, who is tightening the girth there on the Cliff's Edge. But one of the most popular trainers around, Nick Zito, the New Yorker who loves Kentucky, like to visit the Winner's Circle at Churchill Downs again 3 weeks from today. You'll have the Cliff's Edge in today.
How does the bottle work again? Well, I fill it with authentic Guinness draft. Yes. So we can walk outside. Yes. Go down to the glen. Yes. And drink it.
Drink beer at a picnic. Brilliant. What will you think of next?
You know the way you call your mum?
Yes.
Well, I've created a device that lets you talk to her.
Brilliant.
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 Guinness draft straight from the bottle. Enjoy it everywhere.
Brilliant.
When life starts to take a toll on you and your hair, you need an oasis. Introducing new Nourishing Oasis shampoos and conditioners from Alberto VO5 with invigorating fragrances that are activated by the heat of your shower. And nourishing conditioners that leave your hair and spirit restored and ready for more. New Nourishing Oasis, an oasis for your hair.
Okay, ready? Catch a fry. Good job. Try another fry.
That's 2 for 2.
Now try a shrimp. I meant a giant shrimp!
New giant shrimp from Long John Silver's, our biggest shrimp ever. Nearly half a foot long, dipped in our crispy, crunchy batter. Try a giant shrimp combo with fish for $4.49. It's our biggest news ever. Long John Silver's giant shrimp. Surf's up. Dive in at Long John Silver's.
Hey, that thing got a Hemi? You're about to find out. Excuse me. Can I have my order, please?
Dodge Ram with the legendary Hemi. Loved by those who have one, dreamt about by those who don't.
Sweet.
I'm Jenna Jackson, and I will be the host and musical guest of SNL with special guest Simon Cowell.
It is a true honor to be standing next to so much talent.
Thank you, Simon. Wow.
Oh, hi, Jim. I didn't see you standing there.
By supporting NTRA charities and its affiliates, you help horses stay safe and healthy before, during, and after their racing careers. You help the people and the communities that are home to NTRA member tracks and farms. And you help Ronald McDonald House Charities worldwide. NTRA Charities, serving our community and yours.
And we invite you to log on to NBCSports.com for in-depth coverage of next month's Kentucky Derby. Check out analysis by Bob Newmeyer, plus a special look at the top Triple Crown contenders. The Visa Triple Crown begins with the Kentucky Derby 3 weeks from today, and all the information is at NBCSports.com. Horses in the paddock here at Keeneland, one of the most beautiful paddocks in all the world of thoroughbred racing. This Bluegrass Stakes, now under the sponsorship of Toyota, dates back to 1911 at the old Kentucky Association track in downtown Lexington. It's been run here at Keeneland since 1937, and over the years the Bluegrass has produced 22 Kentucky Derby winners. Although it's been a while, Thunder Gulch in 1995 was the last Bluegrass winner to go on and take the Kentucky Derby, last Bluegrass starter to win the Kentucky Derby. Last year's Bluegrass hero was Peace Rules, who then went up the road to Churchill Downs and finished third in the Kentucky Derby. Horses circle the trees in the Keeneland paddock and walking ring. Then they move in to get the riders up from the trainers. And you see the crowd already there in the walking ring area, awaiting the arrival of the horses. And the jockeys will be making their way out there shortly to get the final instructions from their trainers and a leg up on the 8 horses that will contest the Bluegrass Stakes. Chelsea, this can be, of course, it's a preview of things to come at Churchill Downs, but it can be an unnerving experience sometimes for these horses, all the people crowding so closely around them. That was Limehouse, number 4, we saw go by.
The interesting thing about Keeneland, Tom, is that every time horses ship here from other states and other parts of the country, there's something about being here at Keeneland in the spring. Horses seem to blossom. They seem to thrive. It's such a sort of bucolic setting here, even in the paddock. I mean, yes, that's a lot of people, but there's something here that really relaxes these horses. They get to graze. It's just does something very, very good for the horses. I was speaking with Bob Baffert the other morning, and he said, it makes me happy to bring a horse here because I see my horses get happy.
Well, you know, they enjoy the cool mornings this time of year. They enjoy the lush green grass, which they're not able to graze on at a lot of racetracks around the country. But here they can find patches of grass and let them graze. And like you said, it does seem to have a calming effect on most of these horses, and they seem to thrive. You can see their coats shine, and they just seem to do very well here at Keeneland in the spring.
Here's a look at action this day. Dick Mandela is confident that he is going to get back to his top form of last year. He just has had a rough time of it this spring. We showed you what happened to him in his last race when his leg was lacerated, but he is supposedly back to his best.
Well, we saw a Limehouse a moment ago who has won both of his starts this year. One of them was the Tampa Bay Derby, and 2 of the horses in the Bluegrass today ran in that race on March 14th down at Tampa Bay Downs.
And there is a look at his Limehouse and Mustanfar. Limehouse is a very interesting colt. He goes on to be the eventual winner. He's there in the dogwood silks. They're fooling you there because he has kind of an orange-looking cap, but that's the dogwood green and yellow. Limehouse on the outside, and along the rail in the blue silks is Mustanfar, an unbridled colt who's been very late developing. They took a while to sort him out and figure out what they like. But you know what I love about Limehouse, Tom? He's won at every distance from 4.5 furlongs to 1 1/8. Now, he may not be a real solid Derby type, but I'll tell you one thing, he gives his all every time he runs.
And owned by the Dogwood Stable, the gregarious Scott Campbell puts those partnerships together, and we have an update of the odds. Action this day at 12-1, the Cliff's Edge at 5. See Limehouse, that's an outrage, the longest shot on the board. Lionheart continues to rule as the favorite now at 6-5. Mustanfar out of the Tampa Bay Derby as well.
Mustanfar is a horse whose most of his races have come at a distance, so he's very seasoned and very fit in that respect. So a lot of people think he's got a great chance to close ground today. If he doesn't win today, he'll be one of the ones, if he makes enough money, enough graded stakes earnings to get into the Derby. Many people feel he's got a big chance at the Kentucky Derby in 3 weeks.
There he is, Mustanfar, home with the Shadwell stable of Sheikh Hamdan Maktoum.
He's been kind of a late developer. They had him on the turf, and then that wasn't quite as good as it should be. Then they put the blinkers on him. They get him off the turf onto the dirt with the blinkers, and he kind of began to blossom. And you saw how well he closed in the Tampa Bay Derby.
It is strange how horses do seem to change character here in the spring of their 3-year-old year. Some go forward, some regress.
Well, this is the time of year, this particular day of prep races, where you begin to see the horses come to the intersection. The early speed horses, the middle distance horses, they go one way, and the true classic distance horses come shining through. And this is the big intersection today.
There's a look at the 9-horse breakaway as the horses are making their way to the track, and our next tail call to the post. Keeneland's veteran bugler Bucky Sally calling the horses to the track as they make their way from their walking ring through a tunnel under the stands and then appear before this big crowd onto the track here at Keeneland. Fast track, of course, for this mile and an eighth event. And you can always spot Bob Baffert in a crowd, can't you?
He said if his hair wasn't white, it'd be gray.
He's sending preaching at the bar to the post. As we take a look at the field for the Bluegrass Stakes, and the K you see indicates horses sold at the sales here at Keeneland. We display those on the horses that have gone through the Keeneland sales ring. Number 2 is Action This Day, the champion from last year. Remember the big day Richard Mandela had, Breeders' Cup Day at Santa Anita, but 0 for 2 this year, 4th in the Sham and 7th in the San Felipe after he suffered the cut on his hind leg. Number 3 is the Cliff's Edge. Shane Sellers aboard. Nick Zito trains the Cliff's Edge in the Florida Derby, 3rd, beaten a length and a half by Friends Lake. He's 0 for 2 this year. The 4 horse will be Limehouse. There are the Dogwood Stable Silks. Todd Pletcher trains Limehouse. Jose Santos rides Limehouse. Remember, Santos took Funny Side to the Churchill Downs Winner's Circle last year on Derby Day. 2 for 2 this year, winner of the Hutchison and the Tampa Bay Derby. Number 5, the longest shot on the board. That's an Outrage. Mark Guidry aboard. He's 0 for 2 this year. He was 4th in his last start, the Lane's End at Turfway Park. He was 3rd after being steadied early. Number 6 is Lionheart, the favorite. Trainer Patrick Biancone, the Frenchman who now is based in California, brought Brancusi to the Bluegrass last year, finished 2nd to Peace Rules. My Smith rides. He's 0 for 1 this year after winning all 3 of his starts as a 2-year-old. Number 7, Mustanfar. We saw him in the Tampa Bay Derby when he failed by a neck of catching Limehouse. Richie Migliori in the irons. Mustanfar does have 3 races at today's mile and an eighth distance. Number 8 is Preachin' at the Bar in the silks of Mike Pegram, who won the Derby with Real Quiet, trained by Bob Baffert. And this horse, Preachin' at the Bar, sired by Baffert's first Derby winner, Silver Charm. Javier Santiago, the 26-year-old, just over in the last few months from Puerto Rico, rides Preachin' at the Bar, who was the winner of the San Felipe. And Breakaway, you see number 9, owned by the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom, Will Farish, and trained by Neil Howard. They combined with Horse of the Year Mineshaft last year. His only stake start, Breakaway, in the Louisiana Derby, where he was 4th, beaten 3 lengths by the Baffert-trained Wimbledon. So that is the field for the 80th running of the Bluegrass Stakes here at Keeneland. Todd Pletcher, who trains Limehouse, taking a look at the monitor at Aqueduct in New York to see how his horse runs today in the Bluegrass Stakes. Let's go to Mike.
Well, I'm here with Michael Puich, and Michael has promised not to run off like Nick Zito did. And Michael, you've got the longest shot in the race today. That's an outrage, but that's not a bad thing. Look at the way some of these other results have gone.
No, I think it's great. We have everything to gain and nothing to lose, and the horse has been training great out here, so, you know, we're pretty excited.
You tell me that in the last 3 weeks since the Lane's End, he ran a good race, by the way, in the Lane's End, made a big middle move, that he's really blossomed here at Keeneland.
He really has, and I'll tell you what really tipped his hand was he worked just awesome over this racetrack and galloped out real strong, and I'm looking for a real big effort.
What about the pace scenario up front? You a little worried about it?
You know what? It's just so many things can happen in a race. We've got a great jockey in Mr. Guidry, and I left everything up to him. However it develops, if the horse is good enough, I said ride him like he's the best.
Does he have to win today to get to the Derby?
I think so. I really do, but you never know what happens after the race.
Michael, best of luck. Thank you. Tom?
All right, Mike, in these Derby prep races this year, if you see a horse 30-1 on the board, you better pay attention, and that's the case with That's an Outrage today. In 1997, Bob Baffert won his first Kentucky Derby with Silver Charm, and then the following year he returned with 2 entries, the favorite Indian Charlie, and a colt who finally broke his maiden on the 7th try, nicknamed the Fish.
I can remember Baffert, he was really, really confident. More or less telling me that I was going to win this thing, you know, just hang on. When I decided to peel him out and just get real quiet to the outside, he took off on his own without being asked. I mean, he was just begging me to let him go. And I decided I was just going to let him be himself, let him float, let him float, let him float. And turning for home, I kissed at him again and asked him to go faster, and he just took off. I could hear Gary, go get him, Mo! There I was, off to the wire, and racing towards my first Kentucky Derby win.
Real Quiet wins it. Bob Baffert, 2 in a row.
This Sunday, an NBC movie event. The story on everyone's mind.
Seeing a theme, 9s and 11s.
How did we miss the clues leading to 9/11? What the hell was going on? Our country's worst tragedy. And how America took action. Homeland Security. The days that changed our world. NBC Sunday.
Mad Max has gone mad.
What should our customers do with the old rugs?
Nothing. We rip it out and haul it away.
Boss, now they're gonna need new pads.
We'll give them the thicker one free.
Boss, they want free installation.
Then do it.
What about the furniture?
What about it? We move it for free.
Now they want 6 months to pay, boss.
No way. Give them 12.
At Max Price hassle-free sale going on now. Sheridan Drive, Amherst, Transit Road, West Seneca.
There are 3 simple words to describe the Ford Explorer. First, most, best. First in class with independent rear suspension. Most third-row passenger room. And the most trusted SUV 11 years running. Ford Explorer, the best-selling SUV in America. And right now, you can drive a rugged new Explorer XLS for just $269 a month with red carpet purchase financing. Only at your neighborhood Ford store.
People always ask me, how much iced tea does your truck hold? And why is it called Turkey Hill? I tell them, over 17,000 bottles of cold, fashioned refreshment. In Turkey Hill, home to our family-run dairy. Our iced tea is a Lancaster County tradition. It's made cold, bottled cold, shipped cold. It doesn't get any fresher than that.
My dad.
There's no better way to cool off.
Turkey Hill iced tea. Where we make it is why it's good.
Channel 2 News. Scott Levin on your side.
Lionheart, the even money favorite as the horses come to the starting gate for the Bluegrass. Donna Brothers is mounted up now. Donna, how are things going on the walk up to the starting gate?
Well, everybody looks like they're in pretty good shape. Mike, Lionheart definitely the controlling speed of the race. Is he gradable?
Yes, he is. His last time he was a little rank, you know, but of course he was fresh. He's coming off a long layoff, but since then we've done a lot of training with him and he's acting great so far.
What would you like to see in a perfect scenario for the first quarter?
Me on an easy lead just loping around there.
What kind of time?
23's fine.
Beautiful. All right, Mikey, good luck to you. Tom, back to you.
All right, way to go, Donna. So you got Mike Smith aboard Lionheart just as they were coming up to the gate. And Mike Battaglia, if you can hear me, I know you think Lionheart is the controlling speed in the race.
I definitely do. This track is not favoring the early runners today, but I don't see anything to get out there and run with him. I do think Mike Smith can control the pace. I think this is a quality horse. I don't think the 1 1/8 is going to bother him. I'm going for him. Lionheart for me.
I do too. What about you, Charles C?
That's why I like preaching at the bar. He's got tactical speed. He can stalk right in there behind Lionheart and come and get him. It'll be tough to do, but I think he can.
All right, we're ready for the 80th running of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes. And with the call, let's go to Keeneland's Kurt Becker.
Field moving into line for the start. Lionheart now takes his spot in the gate. A moment ago, Limehouse, number 4, went in and was a bit unsettled throwing his head, but now he has calmed and awaits the start, as does Mustanfar, number 7, who moves in under jockey Richard Migliore. Here's the gray preaching at the bar, who prevailed by a nose in his most recent outing, one of several horses coming out of photo finishes in their most recent starts. As we get set to settle the issue in the Toyota Bluegrass, breakaway moves in. They're at the post. And they're off. Limehouse comes right out running for the lead along with Lionheart as expected. Lionheart is there, but Limehouse is to his inside, so Lionheart will stay out wide from the rail as they enter the first turn. Preaching at the bar and Mustanfar come next. In fact, Preaching at the bar is going to sneak right up between horses. He's going to press the issue right now. They are 3 across the track for the lead. Limehouse has the advantage. Lionheart 3 wide around the first turn, now gets ahead in front. Preaching at the bar goes 3rd. 23-3 the time for the opening quarter. Mustanfar is 4th. A gap of 4 more lengths to That's an Outrage. Another 4 to Action This Day. Then the Cliff's Edge. And Breakaway is last in the early going. At the midpoint of the backstretch, Lionheart leads it, still placed outward from the rail, on top by 3 parts of a length. Limehouse is second by a half length. Creechin at the bar, inching forward from third after a half in 46 and 3/5 seconds. That's an outrage. Is now fourth on the outside of Mustanfar. That one against the rail, 3.5 lengths off the leader. Then a gap of 5 more to the Cliff's Edge. Action this day, and breakaway still last. And Lionheart now gets away with a 3-length lead coming to the quarter pole. Limehouse is second as they turn for home. Mustanfar is third up on the outside. Creechin at the bar has lost ground. The Cliff's Edge goes to fourth. He's still got 7 lengths to make up, 6 furlongs and 1:11. Lionheart the one to get, and the Cliff's Edge keeps running at him from the outside, and Limehouse is third between horses. Mustanfar is fourth. The Cliff's Edge trying to track down Lionheart, who's still there with the lead. The Cliff's Edge from deep in the pack draws alongside of Lionheart. Lionheart very game. The Cliff's Edge is going to get him. The Cliff's Edge to take the 80th running of the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes from Lionheart second, Limehouse third, Mustanfar was fourth. The time 1 minute 49 and 2/5 seconds. Tom, the Cliff's Edge pulls it off.
All right, Kurt, you're right, and something finally went well for Nick Zito this spring, as the Cliff Edge wore down Lionheart in the stretch to win at this 1.125 distance. The Bluegrass Stakes, his first win in 3 starts this year, and the Cliff's Edge, after all the things had gone wrong for Nick Zito, after Euro Silver was sidelined, after he had to scratch Birdstone, and today the Cliff's Edge gets the money for Nick Zito.
Okay, anytime.
Donna?
Shane, this horse finally looks like he redeems himself today. He hasn't won a single race since he's come back this year, but you've always had confidence in him.
I always did. He's a tough little horse to ride. He got away bad today. Was getting out in the first turn, but I rode him like I did in the Florida Derby. I threw him down in it and made him and forced him to do it, because if he's going to be a Derby horse, he needs to learn to take it. And
Shane, is that what makes him tough to ride? He doesn't like the dirt?
he doesn't like it, and he gets away bad sometimes. Don't like to be on the inside that much, but I had a dream trip where I came through in the fence and swung out, and I'm out of breath because you got to really ride this horse. But
what is it, do you think, that causes him to get away bad? Does he act up in the gate, or does he just brake slowly?
Just brake slowly, you know, without blinkers. But if you slap blinkers on him, might get him too fresh, and this is what's going to make him a Derby horse at that last kick.
Were you concerned that this race might not have enough pace in it to set up for his late kick?
I really wasn't. You know, I came out to win this race, but I've said all along since my comeback, this is my Derby horse. And I was waiting for, I was going to try to win today, but I wasn't going to take his game away from him. I was going to teach him some and get him ready for the Derby, because this is the horse to beat.
Speaking of the Derby, now you go to Churchill, where he's 2 for 2 in graded stakes. You got to feel good about that.
Again, like I've been saying earlier, his 2 races at Churchill was just unbelievable efforts. But he came on the outside of him and just romped. But he handles that surface really good. Nick's done a great job with this horse. He's peaking at the right time.
Well, Shane, it looks like you've done a good job teaching him some racing lessons, and good luck to you in the next spot. Tom, it looks like the Derby picture is getting maybe clearer, maybe not.
I think you're right, Donna. The 3rd Bluegrass win for Shane and for Nick Zito. The Cliff's Edge, owned by Robert LaPenta, named for the Equibase Daily Racing Form chart caller, Cliff Williams. And what a move he made, Charlesy.
He did indeed, and this is a track, as we've mentioned already earlier today, that is not kind to horses that come from as far back as the Cliff's Edge did, and that's why many people felt he wouldn't have a chance. But look how gamely he gets Lionheart in his sights and runs him down. This is a horse who truly does want to go 1.25 miles. I know everyone will remind me that his daddy Gulch couldn't get 1.25 miles in the Derby, but this horse, I love his style. I love the way he's been consistent, and he really showed his stuff today.
And you know, Lionheart didn't just give it up either after setting most of the fractions. He didn't go right to the front as we expected him to, and he didn't have it all to himself, but he did open up some distance there on the turn on the rest of the field, and then gave it away grudgingly, I would say.
And the main thing to keep in mind here, with those early fractions were just dawdling. I mean, they weren't really going anywhere, which makes it even harder on a horse who comes from behind like this. This is a terrific thing for Robert LaPenta, who's put so much into this business, and the Derby gods finally smiled this year on Nick Zito.
So the Cliff's Edge unofficially wins the Toyota Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland. The Cliff's Edge, a 3-year-old colt by Gulch, out of Zig member by Danzig, bred in Kentucky by Stonerside Sable, in the winner's circle at the Bluegrass.
takes experience, strong financial backing, and a record of success to get to the Breeders' Cup and to become the world's leading fractional aircraft ownership program. NetJets, all the benefits of private jet ownership and more at a fraction of the cost.
What are you holding now?
A six-pack.
A six-pack? Brilliant! What's it do?
Well, I figured out how to carry 6 beers at the same time.
Carry 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant! Let's drink them.
You know, I've been thinking, it might not be the smartest idea to drink 6 beers at the same time.
Don't drink 6 beers at the same time? Brilliant!
Brilliant!
Drink in a straff straight from the bottle, and always enjoy it responsibly.
Brilliant!
Okay, ready? Catch a fry. Good job. Try another fry.
That's 2 for 2.
Now try a shrimp. I meant a giant shrimp!
New giant shrimp from Long John Silver's. Our biggest shrimp ever. Nearly half a foot long, dipped in our crispy, crunchy batter. Try a giant shrimp combo with fish for $4.49. It's our biggest news ever. Long John Silver's giant shrimp. Surf's up. Dive in at Long John Silver's.
From the moment they step onto the track, break from the gate, and make history, Equibase is there as the official source for free entries, up-to-the-minute results, and racing information. Equibase is the one-stop shop for all the information you need. Whether at the track or at home, Equibase is making the grade in the thoroughbred industry. Fast, accurate, dependable. Equibase.com, your official source for racing information.
It hasn't been done in over a quarter-century. The most difficult achievement in sport, the Visa Triple Crown. But recently they've come so close.
Has given way. Funny side is dropped back to third. The Triple Crown denied again.
Will this finally be the year? The first Saturday in May, the Kentucky Derby, coming soon to NBC.
There is United 9/8 Central on NBC, the 2-hour finale of The Apprentice, the final boardroom, and this time it's live. That's The Apprentice 2-hour finale, Thursday night at 9/8 Central here on NBC. In the winner's circle, the Cliff's Edge and Shane Sellers, the jockey. Nick Zito and the ownership group all posing for the official photo as the Cliff's Edge wins the Bluegrass Stakes. The result is official, and the Cliff's Edge paying $13.40. Lionheart holding on for second. Limehouse was third. A $40 3/6 exacta on the Bluegrass Stakes. We'll talk to Nick Zito in just a few moments, but here's something that Donald Trump would approve of, an innovative approach to horse ownership. 15 first-time thoroughbred owners will be offered the opportunity to invest in some of the 2-year-olds in the stable of Bob and Beverly Lewis under a new recruitment initiative called Premier Thoroughbred Ventures. The Lewis is best known for winning the '97 Kentucky Derby with Silver Charm, then again with Charismatic in 1999.
If we can encourage more people to own horses and to come in to the game of horse racing, why, that's our intent and our whole purpose. The initial cost is $135,000 per participant. That gives them the right to a portion, or collectively all 15 people will own 10% of the horses. They will then have 27, as our inventory is today, 27 opportunities to have a winner.
There's a very good chance that there's some really good horses in that group, so it's a tremendous opportunity for someone that's maybe not familiar with the business that is going to get access to some good horses and to be able to compete at the very highest level to begin with.
Wouldn't it be nice if people could be exposed to the game without having to go through that period of time where you make the learning mistakes and have the benefit of someone experienced enough past that?
You're surrounded by very successful teams of trainers and owners and horses, and it's a great way to get involved and be right in the middle and the thick of things in the big races.
And for more about this story and opportunities in thoroughbred ownership, log on to thegreatestgame.com. Still a lot to come. And right now, Nick Zito, who stiffed Mike earlier, has consented to an interview since he won the Bluegrass Stakes with the Cliff's Edge. Mike?
All right, thank you, Tom. Here comes Nick Zito ran across the track, and Shane Sellers, what a race the Cliff's Edge just ran. Let's talk to Nick first. You're more out of breath than your horse, Nick.
Yeah, I guess so. This was one of the most gratifying victories I've ever had. It's been a lot of ups and downs, like the preachers always say. There's good times and bad times, and you got to take the bad times with the good times. And I thank the Lord as always, because that's where it comes from.
Well, you were on top of the world at the end of the two-year-old season. A lot of people were writing you off, and today you're right back up there.
Well, I'm glad that the Cliff is carrying the whole barn.
Yeah.
And, you know, I got Mr. Fustak's suit on. He bought me this suit, and I want to tell everybody what a gracious owner he is and what a wonderful man. Because he had a tough break with Euro Silver. He was supposed to run in this race, and he
Take a look here.
Favorite.
Take a look here. Watch him run by. He's running right by the favorite here, Lionheart. Great ride by Shane Sellers.
No question. Well, when Shane's in the zone, he's one of the best ever, and right now, as you can see, he's in the zone.
This is a horse that really looks like he's going to want the 1.25 miles, Shane, and you know he loves Churchill Downs. He's already won 2 races there.
I do. I said this since the first time I got on this colt, that he was a good horse. It's just a matter of how good he was, and he showed me what he was the last 2 races of his 2-year-old career. And having run him over that racetrack, I knew that the distance wasn't going to be a problem, and the racetrack wasn't going to be a problem, and sure, the hands that he was in was not going to be a problem. And I'm just so happy. Nick's always been my biggest fan, and to win this race for him is just great.
Well, congratulations, Shane. Congratulations, Nick. With Tappet winning the Wood and the Cliff's Edge winning the Bluegrass, this 3-year-old picture, Tom, is clearing up just a little bit.
All right. Zito and Sellers, congratulations to them on the Bluegrass win, and the Derby picture is perhaps starting to come into focus. Well, he decided to sleep on the hotel room floor that he was sharing with his parents the night before he was to make Kentucky Derby history. Since his family shared a room with him, Cawthon said, why not? He was the kid, Steve Cawthon, riding in his first and only Derby at the age of 18. The favorite was the Bluegrass Stakes winner, Calumet Farms' Alidor, but Affirmed would go on to make history in more ways than one.
Affirmed was a horse that could do it all. He could go short, he could go long. The perfect horse for a jockey to ride. The race that everybody wants to win is the Kentucky Derby, year after year after year. I knew I had a really tough horse to beat in Alidar, but I also knew I had a great horse under me. So I was just excited to be there and have the chance to do it. Like, I was excited at the 8th pole, I was excited at the 16th pole. I wasn't thinking I was going to get beat, but I was like, you know, I always am, you know, trying to keep eyes in the back of my head because I know Alidar's somewhere.
Affirmed Steve Cawthon is going to win this 104th running of the Kentucky Derby. Alidor is second.
As I crossed the finish line, it was just you know, it's wow. You know, I mean, at first you're thinking, is it really over? You know, have we really done it? And he was my favorite horse, not just because he was the best, but because he was so special.
Emu's on the loose. Emu's on the loose.
Where?
Everywhere.
Where everywhere?
New York City.
The trade show.
Big problem. Yeah, any ideas?
Mama.
Mama?
Here, Mama.
Coast to coast walkie-talkies get it done. Nextel.
Any problems yet?
No, we used FedEx.
We have packages going ground in trucks, and there are no problems. This is a problem.
What's a problem?
That there are no problems. That's a problem. If there's a problem, I can deal with it right away. If there's no problem, all I can do is sit here and wait for a problem. Yeah, no, I'm going to be here all night.
But we use FedEx ground. There is no problem.
I know. It's a complete disaster.
Get out.
Yeah.
For reliable, affordable, nationwide ground delivery, relax, it's FedEx.
Okay, ready? Catch a fry. Good job. Try another fry.
That's 2 for 2.
Now try a shrimp. I meant a giant shrimp!
New giant shrimp from Long John Silver's, our biggest shrimp ever. Nearly half a foot long, dipped in our crispy, crunchy batter. Try a giant shrimp combo with fish for $4.49. It's our biggest news ever. Long John Silver's giant shrimp. Surf's up. Dive in at Long John Silver's.
Win $5 million on the Kentucky Derby without placing a bet. Step 1, visit KentuckyDerby.com. 2, pick the exact order of the Derby finish. 3, win $5 million. 4, go bananas. The Kentucky Derby Derby $5 million payday. Pick the exact finish, win $5 million. Register now at KentuckyDerby.com.
Boxing's back on NBC. Undefeated Juan Diaz, this all-action, non-stop punching dynamo is never in a bad fight. Find out why he's called TV's most exciting fighter. Don't miss one of boxing's top young warriors in a high-powered main event. The Budweiser Boxing Series returns next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, NBC.
Back at Keeneland, where the big crowd is still discussing the Cliff's Edge victory in the Bluegrass Stakes. Lionheart second, Limehouse third. You see the complete order of finish. Action this day again had a day when he did not see much action. Preaching at the bar, a disappointment as well. And that's an outrage, finishing last. Well, we still have a big race to come, the $1 million Arkansas Derby. Remember that earnings angle, too. Smarty Jones, unbeaten, but he's in the outside 11 post, and he needs the earnings to be able to get into the Kentucky Derby field. Kenny Rice is there. Kenny, what about a quick odds update from Arkansas?
Tom, they still love the adopted horse here who came by way of Pennsylvania to Arkansas. Smarty Jones is the strong favorite as we get ready for the 68th running of the Arkansas Derby. Actually, the two favorites will start at the opposite ends of the starting gate. Smarty Jones right now is at even money. The second choice in this, coming in from California by way of a second in the Louisiana Derby, is Borrego at 3-1. Shadowland making his first start here, even though he trains here at 7-1, along with Purge, the speedster out of the Todd Pletcher barn, who ran a second here in the Rebel Stakes, also at 7-1. Tom, that's the way it looks. They think Smarty Jones here in Arkansas is going to make it a perfect 6 for 6 and going on to Kentucky. And as you mentioned, with the graded stakes earnings, he needs to be first or second to assure that he'll be in Louisville in 3 weeks.
All right, so Smarty Jones in the 11 post in the Arkansas Derby, still to come on our road to the Kentucky Derby show today. Smarty Jones the favorite under his regular jockey Stuart Elliott, and we'll be going to Arkansas shortly after we return on our road to the Kentucky Derby.
For 13 weeks, America's heard two little words. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. This Thursday, get ready for two new ones. You're hired. Will it be Bill or Kwame? Only one person in America knows who wins. That would be me. The live 2-hour Apprentice finale, NBC Thursday.
No one likes a job left unfinished. But for some personal injury lawyers, that's all they'll do. A quick settlement and on to the next job. At Paul William Belts PC, we built our reputation in the courtroom. We're not afraid to go there and to stick with you to finish the job. And that's a point worth driving home. Paul William Belts PC, your power of attorney.
He's the first to arrive every day, greeting each employee as if they were close personal friends. He tests each item, and everything must live up to his demanding standards. The only question is, why? Because he's not employed by the Mighty Taco Corporation in any capacity.
Mighty Taco has really great food. I guess some people just get carried away.
Mighty Taco, so good, you could get carried away.
As a golf pro at River Oaks, it's extremely important for us to know the weather. I can find the answers I need anytime, day or night. Doppler 2000 gives me minute-to-minute updates so I can tell my golfers exactly what's coming. It's easy to find everything I need to know. And I can get the story directly from Storm Team 2. I can check it out at home or at the golf course. The maps are great. They're easy to find. The extended outlook's very helpful. Our members need to know if they're going to need their rain gear or their sunglasses. When I think weather, I think WGRZ.com.
Channel 2 News, Ed Kilgore, on your side.
This is the All-State NBC Sports Update.
Hello, everyone. Dan Hicks back in our New York studio. We'll send you back to the NTRA's road to the Kentucky Derby in just a moment. But first, let's get a check on what's happening in the rest of the sports world today. And we start you off in tennis, where last night Serena Williams' comeback bid was derailed by Nadia Petrova. Petrova beat Williams in straight sets in the quarterfinals of the Bausch & Lomb Championships. Next up for Petrova, Lindsay Davenport in the semifinals in Amelia Island, Florida, and Petrova was looking good in the early going. Here on set point in the first set, she blows an ace by Davenport, winning 6-3. And then Davenport down again 4-2 in the second, but she would run off 4 straight games. Here with a beautiful winner down the line to take set 2. Davenport then picked up the steam in the third on match point, slams the ace down the middle to put it away. 3-6, 6-4, and 6-1. And what a comeback it was by Davenport after losing the first set and falling down 4-2 in that second. She won 7 straight games with 13 straight and 20 of 21 points in that span. Davenport will now meet Amelie Mauresmo in the finals. And finally, tomorrow on NBC, it's Week 10 of the AFL. And here's a quick preview of some of the featured Sunday games. The defending champs, the Tampa Bay Storm, struggling at 3-6, travel to Chicago, where star quarterback Raymond Filiah has the rush at 6-2 atop the Central Division. The other matchup features the hard-hitting Georgia Force looking to bounce back from a 3-game losing streak in Austin, where the expansion Wranglers are off to a 5-3 start behind the play of quarterback John Kaleo and the defensive prowess of Tom Briggs. It all starts tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, the AFL on NBC. That'll do it from New York. We now send you back to Tom Hammond in Lexington, Kentucky.
This has been the Allstate NBC Sports Update. Allstate, proud sponsor of the 2004 U.S. Olympic team.
The Cliff's Edge may have stamped himself as the Kentucky Derby favorite with his victory in the Bluegrass Stakes here at Keeneland. Or perhaps it will be Smarty Jones. He's set to go to the post in the Arkansas Derby at Oaklawn Park. Let's go there now and rejoin Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Tom. As you can see, the horse is on the track here as we're just minutes away from the start of the Arkansas Derby, where Smarty Jones is the favorite. Well, West Virginia-born and Philadelphia-based trainer John Service and Pennsylvania-bred Smarty Jones have been a perfect pair, winning 5 for 5 in their racetrack career. This after an inauspicious beginning a year ago at the training barn. Shortly after arriving at John Service's barn last year, Smarty Jones had an unpleasant encounter with a starting gate.
He went right in and he was standing just as quiet as could be, and for no reason at all, he just went straight up. Didn't really like he wanted to flip or anything, he just went straight up, and when he did, he hit his head on the iron bar across the top, and it just, you know, beat him up. It hurt him pretty good. He ended up at the hospital in New Jersey Equine Center for a couple weeks. Dr. Hogan called me and said, you know, he had some microfractures and he had fractured his eye socket, and you know, he'd fractured the sinus cavity, and you know, he had done some damage.
But with the help of Dr. Patricia Hogan, a healthy and gait-wiser Smarty Jones returned to training, winning in Philadelphia and New York. The Pennsylvania connections then came south to Oaklawn for a hard-fought victory in the Southwest Stakes.
I'll be honest with you, I was a little concerned at the head of the stretch, but you know, he had enough heart, enough ability where he kicked off again, but when he came out of that race, I knew he was starting to go forward. You could just see every day he was starting to, the light went on. He was really starting to figure it out.
And 3 weeks ago, Smarty Jones demonstrated how much he had learned with the 3 1/4 length romp in the Rebel. Still, he has his biggest test in front of him. The Arkansas Derby is his one and only shot to earn graded stakes money that would guarantee a trip to Kentucky.
You know, it was a concern because, you know, you need the graded money to go into the Derby, but I just really felt that as immature as this horse was, that to go to that level at the stage he was at, I just really thought that it might do more harm than good. So we kind of put all our eggs in one basket, and, you know, you know, the whole trip down here and everything, I mean, I tried to do what I thought would be the best thing for the horse, and so far it's worked out.
And perhaps there's also faith in the Smarty Jones camp, particularly with owner Pat Chapman.
Mrs. Chapman's mother was Smarty Jones was her nickname, and Smarty was born on her birthday, so Mrs. Chapman named the horse after her, which just also happens to be my mother's birthday. So we got the karma thing working too.
And Roy and Pat Chapman call their farm Someday Farm. They're hoping that someday is today for the favorite in the Arkansas Derby, Smarty Jones. Right now, he is the even money favorite as we're 5 minutes away from the 68th running of the $1 million Arkansas Derby. Can Smarty Jones make it 6 for 6 going on to Kentucky? We'll see when we come back with the running of the race here on NBC.
They come from around the nation and the world. Winners, champions, individuals who excel at what they do. On their way, their every need is attended to, their safety of the utmost importance. We speak, of course, of the thoroughbreds running in today's race, and the people who flew the world's leading fractional aircraft ownership program to come watch them. NetJets. All the benefits of private jet ownership and more. at a fraction of the cost.
When life starts to take a toll on you and your hair, you need an oasis. Introducing new Nourishing Oasis shampoos and conditioners from Alberto VO5 with invigorating fragrances that are activated by the heat of your shower. And nourishing conditioners that leave your hair and spirit restored and ready for more. New Nourishing Oasis, an oasis for your hair.
How does the bottle work again? Well, I fill it with authentic Guinness draft. Yes. So we can walk outside. Yes. Go down to the glen. Yes. And drink it. Drink beer at a picnic. Brilliant. What will you think of next? You know the way you call your mum? Yes. Well, I've created a device that lets you talk to her. Brilliant. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Guinness draft straight from the bottle. Enjoy it everywhere.
Brilliant.
Citgo, fueling the greatest of American sports.
Beginning next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific, NBC takes you ringside for 5 consecutive weeks of boxing action in the Budweiser Boxing Series. And first up, don't miss one of boxing's future stars, Juan Baby Bull Diaz, whose record is 23-0. That's the Budweiser Boxing Series coming to NBC next Saturday, 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific. And of course, here on NBC 3 weeks from today, we'll be at Churchill Downs. And on that day, will Smarty Jones be running for $5 million? That's the bonus put up by Charles Sella, the owner of Oaklawn Park, to celebrate his track centennial. But to do it, you must win the Rebel. Smarty Jones has done that. The Arkansas Derby and the Kentucky Derby. And he's set to go postward as the favorite in Hot Springs shortly. Let's go back to Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Tom. The only horse who has done that, by the way, was back in 1983, Sonny's Halo, who became the first of 3 to come out of the Arkansas Derby and go on and win the Kentucky Derby. Joining Lily T, and the last to do it was Grindstone. We have a field of 11 going postward in this, the 68th renewal of the Arkansas Derby, a $1 million purse, $600,000 to the winner, $200,000 for second, $100,000 for third. Borrego on the rail at 3-1. He likes to close. That's what Bo Greeley said he was hoping to get between 1 and 5 in the post draw. He has at 3-1 right now on the rail, the second place finisher in the Louisiana Derby, who finished ahead of Pollard's Vision, who went on to win the Illinois Derby. And taking a look at the rest of the field, there is the Speedster Purge. We expect him to set the pace. He did in the Rebel Stakes. He is at 6-1. Long Shot is 40-1. Hassle Free. Can Wayne Lucas pull off another miracle and get back to the Derby? Harvard Avenue is coming in here at 21-1. And then there is Smarty Jones, the even money favorite. Pro Prado also at 16-1. He is a local horse here who has won on the slop. It has dried out considerably. The sun has been peeping in and out of here for the last hour, but it is still listed as a sloppy track. You look at Borrego, who is ridden by Victor Espinoza, trained by Bo Greeley, who is also the co-owner and co-breeder. He has a second at this distance already. That was at Santa Anita. He was second in the sham behind Master David, ahead of Preaching at the Bar. He is a horse that likes to close. And Greeley said ideally he is hoping that he gets that kind of pace that he needs in this race to close. That is the same scenario, though, for Shadowland. He trains here at Oaklawn, but this is his first race here. He had a troubled trip in the Louisiana Derby, finishing 7th. But he has the services of Hall of Famer Pat Day, the leading winner among active riders. He's won this race more than any other jockey with 3 victories. And Day said he has a 1-run horse. He's hoping that he gets that run today with number 3, Shadowland. For Borrego and for Shadowland to have that kind of run, though, they're going to need some pace. We expect that to come from right in the middle. The number 5 horse, trained by Todd Fletcher, who has won this race twice, and he has in Purge a second-place finisher who set the fractions most of the way in the Rebel Stakes, a race that was won by Smarty Jones. That was his only appearance over this track. There you see him, number 5, Purge, going in, ridden by Cornelio Velasquez. Right next to him is Tricky Taboo, who's coming off a second-place finish in the Lanes End at Turfway Park. Mr. Jester has a pair of seconds in graded stakes races and the most earnings in this, $764,000. As they continue to go into our Guinness starting gate, the last one to load will be the even money favorite, number 11, Smarty Jones. And now let's go to Terry Wallace, the voice of racing here in Arkansas, for the call of the richest race in state's history, the $1 million Arkansas Derby.
Number 6, Tricky Taboo, unseated his rider in the gate. Momentary delay there.
That's a look at Tony D'Amico, who was aboard the 6-horse Tricky Taboo.
And jockey Tony D'Amico now getting back up aboard Tricky Taboo.
They're back in the gate.
Now moving
D'Amico is back aboard.
And we're waiting only for the post-time favorite, Smarty Jones.
And an ovation for the crowd favorite here and the betting favorite, Smarty Jones.
Gonna make him wait a little.
Had a little trouble loading in here in the Southwest. Now he's going in, and here's Terry Wallace with the call.
And they're up in the Arkansas Derby 2004. Pro Prado broke sharply, as did Smarty Jones on the outside. Down one rail is Mambo Train, and between horses Purge. But coming by the grandstand the first time, Smarty Jones has ahead in front of Purge. Mambo Train's at the rail in third. Pate has Shadowland in fourth, tucked in at the rail. Borrego is fifth. Then it is Harvard Avenue, followed by Hassle Free and Pro Prado. After that, it's Every Advantage, a length and a half to Mr. Chester. And Tricky Taboo trails the opening quarter, 22-3. They head for the backstretch. Purge leaches the neck. On the outside, Smarty Jones second, a length and a half. Shadowland third. At the rail, Borrego is fourth. Between them, Mambo Train is fifth by 2. Harvard Avenue now sixth. Hassle Free is next, followed by Pro Prado, Mr. Chester, and Every Advantage. Tricky Taboo still trails. They get the half in 46-4, with Purge still leading away. Smarty Jones is second. Shadowland is right there outside of Mambo Train. At the rail, Borrego in striking position fifth. 3 lengths further back, Harvard Avenue is now sixth as they head onto the final turn of the Arkansas Derby, with Purge and Smarty Jones still right together. Borrego poised to act along the inside. Pate and Shadowland are still right there. Between horses, Mambo Train, Harvard Avenue coming on. 3/4, 111-3. Here they come into the stretch of the Arkansas Derby, and it is Smarty Jones who takes command and draws clear by 3 lengths. Purge is still second. Borrego now moves to the middle in third. Smarty Jones leads it by 3.5 and is pulling away. They're driving toward the wire. It is Smarty Jones by 3. Borrego trying to make one lane move. Pro Prado at the rail. Smarty Jones leading by 2. It is Smarty Jones. 1 step for the Kentucky and 1 giant step to $5 million. Smarty Jones has won the Arkansas Derby. He's still undefeated, 6 wins in a row, and he got the 1 1/8 on this muddy track in a minute 49-2.
Any more questions? Smarty Jones is perfect, and he is going on to Churchill Downs in 3 weeks with a 6-for-6 record. Smarty Jones, ridden to victory by Stuart Elliott, and he was the crowd favorite and the betting favorite. Let's go on the very outside at the start of this race. Got just a little excited starting when he got in, but once he broke cleanly. Now, yesterday, John Service, his trainer, said he has tactical speed. I'm not sure that he'll be right out there with Purge, but as you can see as they go into the clubhouse turn on the outside there, it is Smarty Jones. And then by the time they were coming around, it was all Smarty Jones. He had pulled away from the early speed in Purge, and the only one giving chase now is the late closing Borrego, who is number 1, who will finish second in this race, and coming in third is Pro Prado. But it is Smarty Jones. He remains perfect. He's 2/3 of the way there to Oakland's $5 million bonus now after winning the Rebel Stakes and taking the Arkansas Derby, if he can just do it in Kentucky in 3 weeks. Smarty Jones is perfect, 6-for-6. He's going to the winner's circle and heading to Kentucky. More when we come back.
Did those shipments get to Detroit this morning?
No. They're going to be a few days late.
Did you use FedEx Express like I asked you?
No.
Remind me again why I keep you around here.
You're my dad.
When you need fast, reliable service, relax, it's FedEx.
Okay, ready? Catch a fry. Good job. Try another fry.
That's 2 for 2.
Now try a shrimp. I meant a giant shrimp?
New giant shrimp from Long John Silver's, our biggest shrimp ever. Nearly half a foot long, dipped in our crispy, crunchy batter. Try a giant shrimp combo with fish for $4.49. It's our biggest news ever. Long John Silver's giant shrimp. Surf's up. Dive in at Long John Silver's.
I said, Joe, think of the family. It's comfortable. It's not too big, not too small. It's got a DVD. End of discussion.
I said, Liz, we need a man's SUV. I mean, this thing tows like a son of a gun, and it's got a Hemi. Done deal.
The all-new Durango. Big size, smooth ride, Hemi power.
And Joe completely understood.
Liz finally saw it my way. Soda?
Dodge Durango with 5-star, the highest frontal crash test rating. Monday on NBC. 6 new Miss USA beauties compete on Fear Factor.
You shove it in.
All of it.
Then, all 6 go on to compete live for the one and only title of
Miss USA!
It's Fear Factor Miss USA Monday on NBC.
The NTRA's Road to the Kentucky Derby is brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. By Alberto VO5 Nourishing Oasis. Restore your hair and spirit. By Nextel coast-to-coast walkie-talkies in under a second. Nextel, done. And by Guinness Draft Stout. Drink responsibly. Brilliant. And speaking of brilliant, we began the day by saying no horse wanted to take charge of the Derby picture. Nothing but upsets. Well, what happens? We had 3 impressive victories. The latest by that horse, Smarty Jones, winner of the Arkansas Derby. For the official results, let's go back to Kenny Rice.
Thanks, Tom. Smarty Jones going to a position he knows well. That is the winner's circle. And on board is Stuart Elliott. Elliott, the top rider up in Philadelphia. And, of course, that's where John Service is based, the trainer of Smarty Jones. John told us yesterday that there have been a couple of inquiries about maybe picking up the mount if Smarty Jones should make it on to Kentucky. He said, no way. Stuart Elliott's been there for all 5 wins, now all 6 wins, and he will be the man that takes us to Kentucky. Even money favorite, Smarty Jones, doing what he was expected to do and looked impressive. Now let's go to New York and Bob Newmeyer.
Well, as we count down the days to the Kentucky Derby, this is going to be a fascinating scenario, because I know that those breeding snobs in Kentucky will be thumbing their nose at Smarty Jones saying, how can a Pennsylvania bred with that breeding win the Run for the Roses? It should be fascinating to follow. I'm going to go on record as saying, despite Smarty Jones's gaudy record, that we've got a real chance of breaking the record for the highest price favorite in the history of the Derby. That would have been Harlan's Holiday back a couple of years ago when he went off at 6-1. I don't care if Smarty Jones is unbeaten. I still say the Kentucky breeding people will not like this horse, and we will have a wide open board for the Run for the Roses at Churchill Downs. Tom, back to you.
Numi, how could you not like Smarty Jones in that story? I don't care how blue your blood is. Let's take a look at the payoffs for Smarty Jones in the Arkansas Derby. He was the even money favorite as they went postward. And here are the payoffs. We haven't seen them yet either. There we go. And it was even money, $4 payoff for Smarty Jones, Borrego second, Pro Prado third. As you see the payoffs for the Arkansas Derby. And the pick 3, the NTRA pick 3 there, payoff at the bottom for Tappet, the Cliff's Edge, and Smarty Jones. And Mike Battaglia rejoins us now here at the table. And Mike, do you agree with what we said, that we didn't have anybody to take charge of the picture? Suddenly, today, 3 impressive winners.
You know what? This was a very good day for the 3-year-olds. And yes, there were 3 very impressive winners. I didn't think Smarty Jones can win from the 11 hole. I thought the Cliff's Edge was up against it because he had to come from off the pace, although the track here at Keeneland today was not favoring the early runners. And I thought Tappet off of that dull effort in Florida might just been hype as a 2-year-old. So all 3 of these horses have proven to me that they're legitimate Derby contenders, and I think it really makes it interesting. interesting.
Chelsea, what do you think about today's action?
Well, I thought it was a great turning point for all these 3-year-olds that have been looking for what they are and who they are, and Smarty Jones proved everybody exactly what he was. But what I want to know is, what are you going to do about this now?
Mike sets the morning line for the Kentucky Derby. That's where the betting starts, and his job is to pick the horse that he thinks the public will favor. Not who necessarily he favors, but the public will favor. So, all right, give us the favorite for the Kentucky Derby.
I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry.
I'll
give you the top 5 or 6. I know I am. But I really can't say who I think is going to be the morning line favorite right now. I love the performances by all 3 of these horses today. I think one of the 3 that we saw today will be the favorite in the Kentucky Derby. Probably Smarty Jones, because he's undefeated. I would say probably Smarty Jones, but it's going to be close. The Cliff's Edge, Tappet, they're all going to get play. I think Master David is still going to get play. Chelsea made a good point about this horse. He ran an excellent race in the wood. Castledale, who won the Santa Anita Derby, and Rock Hard 10, they're also going to get some play in here, so it's still wide open. Slight edge right now to Smarty Jones, but I could change that, Tom.
Waffling. You see how it goes?
Waffling.
How can you resist the unbeaten Smarty Jones and his story? And we'll find out 3 weeks from today. We'll be back on Saturday, May 1st, to bring you the 130th Run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby from Churchill Downs, first race in the Visa Triple Crown. And coming up tonight, beginning at 7 Central here on NBC, Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones star in the action-packed blockbuster Men in Black, followed by Law and Order. It was a great day of racing on our NTRA road to the Kentucky Derby, and some impressive performances today. Tom Hammond for Donner Brothers, Charles C. Canty, Mike Battaglia, Kenny Rice, and Bob Newmeyer saying so long from Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington. See you Derby Day.